Today, it takes a different kind of individual who understands that he does not have all of the answers, that there are 195 people out there, and it's possible that some of them may have some better ideas. And I think it's difficult, yet enjoyable, to sit back and realize that you have given up that traditional role of I know everything, and gone into the empowerment, into the brainstorming, into the collective think, to get some better ideas from your crews.
In the old system, I was the cop. I had to get out there and I had to make things happen, make the assignments, tell the people what to do every day, and be accountable for what happened. And having to be the cop and the boss out there, it makes a lot of friction between yourself and the employees, and you don't get the production you want to obtain. Then having to transition into the new concept, the new way of management, leadership principles and stuff, things that we should have been applying all along, but we're on a production line, we're on a schedule. Things have got to get done. And if somebody's not going to do it, it's your job to make sure it happens. Now we turn around and we can't just go out and say, go do this, go do that, because we won't last, we won't be in the system. One statement was always made, well, you couldn't make it work, now you want us to do it, huh? And I guess that's what we're saying. Yes, we want you to do it because we know you are a lot more capable of making it happen and building a better product, first-time quality, and a lot quicker than we are by directing you every day on how to do your job. You know it. You do it every day. We just need to get you the support so you can keep doing it. And the hardest part being a first-line supervisor is you're trying to facilitate your manager above you or the management above them to satisfy the program requirements. You're also trying to facilitate and coach the people below you to get them going on it so that they'll make the program happen. And you're in the middle. And it's real easy to say, hey, I'm tired of being beat upon by both sides. It's time for me to the heck with it. I'm going to quit. I don't need this anymore. And that transition is difficult because you're getting it from both sides. I didn't have to communicate well before as a first-line supervisor. Go do it. That's your job. Here's your assignment today. I'll see you at 2:30. Make sure you clock out. Have a nice night. Can't do that anymore. It's getting out there and saying, what are you going to do today? I see we have some additional work in this area, backlog that's become available to work. How do you plan on facilitating getting that done? And maybe it doesn't work as fast as it used to, but you'll find out that the results of it are 10 times better once the people take hold of it and go for it.
The basic mission of the Apache helicopter is an all-weather, day and night attack role in the U.S. Army. It is the prime tank killer for the United States.
The technology is the most advanced in the world today. The way it can fly, its maneuverability, it's just awesome from the early days of Sikorsky and the original designs of the helicopters. It's the helicopter of the present. It's still going to be the helicopter of the future until the LHX and various other new technologies come in for our generation.
Our thanks to all of the Apache team for a story about teamwork and improvement. It's called the workhorse of space. In nearly 30 years' service, it's lifted more payloads into space than any other U.S. launch vehicle, and it has an unrivaled reliability rate of 98%. I'm talking about the Delta launch vehicle made by our Space Systems Company, headquartered in Huntington Beach, California. Last August, the Delta orbited a television broadcast satellite for British Satellite Broadcasting Limited. It marked the first commercial launch of a satellite by a private U.S. company, McDonnell Douglas. Jay Witzling and Mike Tierney of the Space Systems Company tell us more about this historic event.
The heritage of Delta goes back to the 50s. The basic components of the rocket at that time were essentially a booster which was adapted from the Thor. The vehicle has certainly grown. The design essentially evolved with basically the needs of the customer. The second stage grew, the third stage grew. We added solid motors to augment its capability through the 60s and the early 70s, and through the 70s, and it was pretty much named the workhorse for NASA, and it certainly proved that. In the early 80s, unfortunately, with the Challenger accident, it has certainly gotten renewed life.
The British satellite broadcasting launch was significant for both the United States and the United Kingdom. For the United States, it was the first commercial launch into orbit of a commercial satellite. For the United Kingdom, It was a launch of their British Satellite Broadcasting BSBR-1 satellite, which was a truly direct broadcasting satellite. British Satellite Broadcasting specifically had Hughes aircraft design that satellite and the reflector where it was slightly tilted and aimed so its footprint went directly over the United Kingdom and a portion of Northern Ireland. As an engineer working in spacecraft integration, I was the prime interface with the customer Hughes aircraft in amassing the information that is required to fit that satellite onto our launch vehicle. Today's customers are looking for a launch service. They're looking for a cheap ride into space. We have to be careful because the number of competitors out there is increasing, with the French with their Ariane, the Japanese up and coming with their H2. You'll have the Russians with the Proton, who they're actively trying to market in our country, and you have, of course, the Long March in China. McDonnell Douglas is a struggling entrepreneur in the emerging marketplace of commercial space. To become competitive, we have to change the way we do business. We have to eliminate our bureaucracy. We have too much paperwork. I don't think enough authority is delegated down to the lower levels. We could see more of that. From the vehicle standpoint, we need to grow. The satellites are growing in the future. They're going to increase from 4,000 to 6,000 pounds. That's the class that we would need to grow to.
This commercial launch, I think, was one step. It certainly was a major milestone for McDonnell Douglas, but it certainly was a major milestone for the United States to reestablish itself. When he was asked at a press conference, why did you select Hughes and McDonnell Douglas? Anthony Simmons Gooding, who's the chief executive officer of British Satellite Broadcasting, indicated the reason he did it because they were the best.
The customer was extremely happy. I mean, you know, they had a lot of money on the line. They had nearly $1 billion wrapped up in this launch.
Quite frankly, had the launch failed in any way, the company would have been out of business. There would have been no British Satellite Broadcasting come Monday morning.
As you can see, we face intense competition in the growing commercial launch business. It's a market with great potential and certainly one where first-time quality is essential to success. And that's becoming increasingly characteristic of all of our businesses. Here's some of the mail we received from our first 90 Days program. I appreciate receiving your comments. We've incorporated many of your suggestions into this program. For instance, you've seen more footage of our products in action and received more perspective on the financial report. And in the course of these programs, we'll do our best to cover every product and business. We've gathered some interesting statistics, too. For instance, 90% of you expressed a preference for seeing the program at home. 93% want to continue to receive the program. 75% of you watch 90 Days with your families. And most gratifying, 62% said you learned something you can use at work. Now let me read you a sampling of the comments, some about TQMS. One viewer concluded, "We must change from an old system of production to a new system of management and workers producing first-time quality goods." Another wrote, "Upper management is finally entering the world of reality by listening to the problems of the workers and trying to solve them rather than add to them." Some viewers voiced concerns. Company executives need to practice what they preach if TQMS is to survive. Training and participative management is needed. About the financial report, someone wrote, "An honest picture of a fairly desperate situation, but one we can change if we listen to each other. Please continue to be this candid." Another wrote, "We are the company. We determine success and profitability, which in turn determines job security." Some of you addressed problems. If you want quality parts, you buy quality machines. 90% of the machines I have operated are older than I am. Not everyone liked getting 90 Days at home. After 8+ hours per day here, I'd rather not get so many home mailings. However, with the tape, my wife and kids did enjoy it. Finally, someone suggested, "Please include microwave popcorn in future shipments." I am truly overwhelmed by your enthusiastic response to the first 90 Days. We've tried to make this edition an even better one. And finally, another event worth noting.